Hello, everybody. It's good to be here. It is Monday, and it's been a while since I've done a live. I skipped like a month, basically, and that's okay. It's good to have that break. It's been a while since I've done a live. We skipped. So I forgot to do that. But at least it's working. All right. I hopefully will be doing this live with Healy Means when she hops on board in a few. She's running between jobs, so it's awesome of her to join me later. Until then, today's topic is going to be the fall garden and just a few things, to think about surrounding that. Now, I'm in Zone 6, New York. My coldest temperatures maybe down to -10 on average. Healy, on the other hand, she's Zone 10, I believe. She doesn't really have a winter per se. She has a fall. So her situation is quite different as far as a fall garden. It's more like an extended summer, for her. But we will get into that. In the meantime, I'll just settle in with a little story time. So let people trickle in and give Healy a second to catch her breath. Mondays are always so chaotic sometimes. I try to really schedule my Mondays to be as smooth as possible, but it did not pan out for this Monday. I knew I had this live coming, but it wasn't until this weekend that I was really oh my God, I got to prepare for this live and contact Healy and get our topic pinpointed. And then I also had a veterinary appointment for my dog, which was, what time is it now? 1, 11, 12, 1, 2.5 hours ago, the appointment. And then I believe it was Saturday, I got an email that my Azure pickup was for today. And they said there was an email prior that should have let me know, but I looked over that email over and over, and I was like, there's nothing on here. It just told me my order, the summary. There's nothing about the day or the time. So it totally caught me off guard that holy crap, I have to do my Azure pickup at 8:45 in the morning. The school bus doesn't come till 8:45 in the morning. If, it comes at 8:40 or something. So I was like, crap. Now I have to, it's not inconvenient for the coordinator to pick up or, hey, Shane, how are you? I don't really know how the coordinators do these things with the Azure. When people aren't there, do they hold the packages at their home? I know we communicate via text, so something is figured out, but it's interesting. So I had to send a text saying, I'm not going to be there on time because I'm way down here. I'm on a good day, 25 minutes away from the pickup. That's the closest. And that's the only downside, I think, to Azure is that there's limited locations for picking up. So you really have to be dedicated to using their system. And also, hey, Healy's here. Let me add her to the stage. Hi, Healy. How are you? Oh, I don't hear you. Are you muted?
Hold on.
Go.
Okay. Is
You're
that
good.
all right?
Yay. How are you?
Trying to get it together. Girl, I'm doing fine. You know how it is with me, always running from one place to somewhere else. But I'm
and it's
here
a Monday.
now. I know, and it's just Monday. But I'm definitely happy to join you on the live stream. Happy to join the audience. Good morning to everyone. And I'm just gonna sit back and catch up.
Okay, you take your breath. I will continue story time.
All right.
So I got to my Azure pickup after 9, which I assumed was going to be the case. So that's why I had texted my coordinator, which is fine. The stuff had already been unloaded. So whoever gets there early, do that. There have been times where I've made it there on time and have helped unload it. So I don't feel super bad when I don't. So that went smoothly. That was fine. So then I came home. I barely had breakfast then took the dog to the vet. And for crying out loud, that took an hour and a half. I'm like, it's not a human. Why is it taking an hour and a half for the doctor to see the dog? But first, the technician weighs them and talks to you and blah, blah, blah. But you sit there forever just waiting and waiting and waiting. And the dog is just waiting and waiting. I feel so bad because it's like a foreign space for her. She's not outdoor, like I take her out on walks, go visit places type dog. She's a home dog. Livestock guardian dogs are home dogs. They get anxious leaving their home turf because they're guardians, so they're supposed to be guarding their space. And if they're not in that space, they're like, what am I supposed to be doing here? So that wasn't great, but she was fine. She's a good dog as far as that. She got her shots. She's got more shots in the future. So we talked about, but an hour and a half. So I got home thinking, I was gonna have some leisurely time to like eat lunch, prep for this live, sit down. But no, I've had crackers and juice because there was no time for sitting down and being composed doing this. But well, here we are. Hi, Chris. Nice to have you. All right. So, Healy, you wanna share anything before we get started, or are you good?
Yeah. So, I know what our topic today. Did you say what the topic was?
Yeah, it'll
Yet?
be fall gardening.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So
ish.
I know that our topic is fall prep, and I'm pretty sure I have a lot less to share than Joy. But what has been going on with me, because I did miss our last live stream, which was supposed to be on my channel, but I wasn't able to make it. I also at the same time forgot to at least put up a community post to say that there would not be a live stream. And I know y'all all missed us. I'm so sorry about that. I try to remember if I can't make it, to at least say something, but I lapsed on that time, so I'm sorry about that. But in my garden, the summer is still very, very much here. The summer is very much still here. I started my garden late this year, so everything that I had growing in the spring and the summer, it either has completely failed, I've harvested and pulled it up, or it's still growing. So at this present moment in a time when we're doing fall prep, I am brainstorming in my mind whether or not I'm going to do that. And then a lot of that depends on the variety of crops, the timing to harvest, weather, which is not as much a factor in my area, but and then time, the time that I would have to um spend time in my garden and do what I'm supposed to, unlike what I did on Saturday, where I spent almost 11 hours outside in my garden
Wow.
trying to make up for all of the stuff that I didn't do over the spring and the summer.
Right.
So that's what's been going on with me. And also, I have a love of dragon fruit, and I've started growing dragon fruit cuttings for the first time. It's
Cool.
exciting. I'm learning, and have a lot more to learn. But that's what I've been doing up to this point.
All right, very good. So yeah, let's start the fall prep, fall gardening with that idea actually of if you have a new space, or let's say you took a hiatus in having to reevaluate your space or
Mhm.
grow your space. Like fall is a reset, really, really like a big reset for a lot of people. Um,
Mhm.
some of us are forced into it with like schools dictating our schedule. Um, some people are forced to it through the weather because you're racing against the clock basically of winter coming in. But otherwise, there is, although it's busy, in our life, there's also a lot of busy work that you could be doing in the garden to set you up for a successful spring. Meaning, being that spring is typically where we all like really get gung ho and start gardening per se. Let's see. What do I want to say? Okay, cleanup. I've started trimming some of my tomatoes, my cherry tomatoes, because I have this patch that I've allowed to grow wild of
Mhm.
volunteers. So I don't need all those. I have plenty of like actual tomatoes I want to eat. So those were really set up for um, composting material, green manure, whatever you want to call it. So I have started trimming back some of that foliage and started feeding my compost with it. So weeding, it's not the same kind of weeding because it's not like a plant I didn't want there. So it's not a weed, but it goes hand in hand with weeding. and it's part of the fall cleanup because you got to pull up the plants that you don't want that are starting to die off on you. It's finished its annual cycle. It's disease, dying, whatever the case may be. So I'm sure you're always constantly rotating your plants since you don't have like a complete like stop growing cycle in your area
Mm-hmm.
that you're just, you know, waiting for plants to do their thing and then you're just cleaning as you go, basically. Plus, you're rotating like the next plant you want to put in. If you're making room for your dragon fruits, something's got to go. You can't keep putting things on top of each other.
Some people do though. Some people do and hope for the best. I don't know how that works out, but some people try to cram in as much as they can, and I find I have seen this where people say, "Oh, it's still technically the summer. I'm going into the fall. I still have 6 to 8 weeks, maybe a little bit more for winter. How much can I, cram in now? I'm buying the sales of the plants at the stores, big
Mhm.
box stores or whatever, because they're
Right.
trying to get rid of their inventory. I grab a bunch of those plants. I sow a couple seeds for things that I'm gonna do quick. I ram it all in there, and then what can I get done before the first frost? I've seen
Right.
it.
No, I see it too. I wish there was more of that culture here, that there was more availability of these plants, but it's just not the culture where people keep, what's a fall plant? I don't even know. Spinach, I guess, like the
Mhm.
brassicas. Those are fall plants in this area, but no, it's not in the culture to keep those going and to have a fall garden. It's like still a foreign concept around here.
Mhm.
But as far as as far as fall cleanup also, if you haven't trimmed or pruned some of your fruit trees, now is a good time. Even though there is that rule of doing things when they're dormant, pruning things when they're dormant. That's what is it? That's to keep the size a certain way. But if you're trying to get a certain shape, you still have time before your frost to get those trimmings done now. And yeah, so that would be part of, taking some excess and gathering it and hopefully composting it. Um, as far as reset, like if you have a new space, now is the time to be like looking at your area. Where do you want to put your new garden or expand your garden? And maybe compost in place. Maybe take those trimmings and those dead things, as long as they're not super diseased, and using that like to mulch your space. And now you're going to have a nice bed come the spring because you've prepared it ahead of time, and you will hopefully have less weeds and stuff too. Hmm. What else? Do you prune? Do you prune your trees? I know you have quite a bit.
Okay, so what had happened was, all right, y'all. This okay. I so Saturday when I spent all day outside just assessing the garden, the heat really took a toll on my garden this year. We had in the past month, we had 3 consecutive weeks of heat wave days, and that just completely well, not completely, but majority of my garden was just demolished. So I had a lot of not only pruning for my plants, but also pulling up plants.
Mhm.
And at the same time, replacing those plants with other plants that I had growing. So pruning and pulling up of the plants, yes. Now pruning of my fruit trees, not so much right now, but my fruit trees do not look as healthy and as well as they did this time last year. And it's because of the heat. And I have been watering, I will admit, not as much as I probably should have, but I have been watering enough for them not to look like they look. Something has happened this year, and I can only speak for my garden, my area, but something has happened this year that's different from last year. Um the heat waves are one thing, but I think something else is going on. I'm not sure what it is, but I've been spending more time in like the ER of the backyard shenanigans garden,
Right.
so yeah, so pruning, pulling up, some harvesting though. I've harvested a lot of tomatoes, cucumbers and peppers,
Mhm.
a lot of those, but several of the other things I have planted have not gone well. The squashes, my zucchinis and my squashes, those type plants, they have not done well. Um, and even the tomatoes, I have gotten a harvest, but not as good of a harvest as I got last year. Like I said, something overall is different. I
Mhm.
know the heat is one thing, and even me not being out in the garden as much as I should be or should have been, I understand that that's one thing, but it's something else. In the comments, if you've seen in the chat, if you've seen anything different this year that you didn't see last year, no matter what it was, if it's heat, if it's pests, if it's this, if it's that, let us know, because it's just this strong feeling that I have. Something is different. I don't know if it's a combination of things that have all come together,
Mhm.
or if it's one specific thing, and that's what it was. So going all the way back to what you said, not pruning the trees, but pruning and pulling a lot more plants
Mhm.
than in previous years.
Right. Well, you
Hmm.
mentioned, the not the climate, the just the overall umbrella of things. And it's weird because like last year we had very pervasive forest fires that was like enveloping the whole country
Hmm.
and causing all kinds of problems with the air quality and the sunlight issues. But I don't feel like we had that this year. So I'm surprised that, you feel like there's something that's happened that maybe didn't happen last year because you're saying you had a better garden last year. So that's interesting. Um, as for me, I don't see like the only thing I can think of is that things you're right though. The tomatoes aren't as productive as they could have been, or the peppers either. But then I just, turn inward and I'm like, of course I didn't do something right. So
Hmm.
either I didn't water enough, but I don't think that's it. Or I planted too late. I don't think that's it either. So you're kind of right, I guess, now that I start to think about it and try to be more outward about it. But because some years are just not a specific plant's year. Like
Hmm.
every plant has its own cycle. Like my cherry tomato, oh, not cherry tomatoes, ground cherries. I've had multiple years of abundance with cherry tomatoes. This year, aside from the ones that I given to the pests, the one I grow for myself specifically have been a complete bomb. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't understand. Other than it's just not the plant's year. I don't understand why this plant has not produced anything for me. It could also be maybe the seed. The seed may have been too old already. Maybe that plays a factor in how viable it is when it gets older. I don't know.
Maybe so. I mean, I saw your tomato, and for those of you who have not seen Joy's video, she did too, where she showed us all of the different varieties of tomatoes, and then she did the tomato taste test. Oh my goodness, all of those varieties of tomatoes, so many different varieties: beefsteak, cherries, slicers, paste tomato.
Aromas,
Oh
right?
my goodness, yes. So many different varieties of tomatoes. I mean, just because you had, even if you only had one or two tomatoes from a variety, the fact that you had so many successful, varieties to harvest, that was amazing.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that was amazing. I think I've had tomatoes of maybe five varieties. I can't think of them offhand, but I'm thinking about the bowl because I just harvested
Mhm.
more tomatoes on Saturday. Many cherry tomatoes, so the smaller tomatoes, many of those, and the larger the tomato size, the less, but
Mhm.
still at least one or two. But I had some tomato plants that just, I don't know, this wasn't their year. I was trying also with watermelon and cantaloupe, and I actually still have a couple watermelon and cantaloupe on the vine.
Mhm.
In the process of pruning and cleaning up, though, mistakenly, some vines were cut that
Mm.
were connected to cantaloupe and watermelon. So
Yeah.
those won't make it. But I have, I think, maybe two watermelon and like one cantaloupe still, kind of connected and hanging, and it is still so very warm
Mhm.
in my area. So I'm just gonna let them go, to see what happens. And I even if it's the size of a softball or whatever, but if it's good and it's
Right.
sweet or whatever, I'm gonna count that as a win. But I'm telling y'all, Cantaloupe Wars 2026, like for real this time. Because I need to grow, because of my growing space, I need to grow something smaller.
Yeah.
Watermelon Wars, I think, is too large for me to handle.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking the other day, I think next year I'm gonna try to grow a pumpkin. I don't want to do I don't want the big jack. I don't want a large pumpkin because
Right.
I'm literally gonna have to dedicate one
Oh,
whole of my mini raised beds just for the pumpkin.
right.
So I want to do it, but space is so like critical and valuable. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going back and forth on it. I want to do it, but I don't want to give up the space. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's just a matter of controlling the vine when it starts to grow. But yeah,
Hmm.
pumpkins, there's lots of nice tiny pumpkins that are cute and I guess enjoyable. I haven't enjoyed them yet, but they're cute to look at. um
Did you talk about seeds?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay. What were you were saying something about, what was it? Oh, if I want to do the melon war, but it's a matter of I don't know how to keep the mice or voles away from just
Oh.
nipping the vines. Like
Mhm.
I don't know if even going up a trellis is going to matter. So that's something I'm
Mhm.
going to have to contend with in in the next year, obviously. But yeah, I think definitely cantaloupes are more my speed for this area. Watermelons, although I've had a successful watermelon year, other than that, it has been just constantly a heartache. And as far as weather, we have definitely hit some kind of weird wall where Canadian air is just rushing down on us and making us way cooler than we're accustomed to at this time of year. Like we touched, 49, which, doesn't
Oh,
it's
wow.
cold.
Mhm.
That's like not normal. And it's been, 50s at night and 70s, mid 70s in the morning. And that's still on the cool side for here.
Mhm.
Um, I'm really hoping for that upswing. I'm gonna leave all the plants in till the last second. Um, like I said I wasn't gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. 'Cause what do I know? I'm gonna go back to this later, but I'm gonna pull up some of the pepper plants because I don't feel like they had enough time to grow, like outdoors. So I'm gonna bring them in and
Mhm.
try to keep them through the winter. It's one of those labor of love. You got to do it to be
Yeah.
successful at it and really be all in. Let's see. Yeah, let's
Chris
go
has
back.
a question. He had a question for you.
Oh, okay. What do you got?
I
No,
I put
Healy.
it up on
I
the
did
screen.
some. Oh, where did that come from? Why don't I see that? Oh, there it is. It's hiding. How having so many affects seed saving? Oh, well, I don't know. That's a good question because they never really, like, you're supposed to space out your tomatoes, right? Like 1,000 feet
Mhm.
away from each other if you don't want them to cross pollinate. So that's interesting because heirlooms are supposed to be, true to type, very strong in its quality to be the same tomato year in and year out. But yeah, if you've got multiple heirlooms next to each other, how does that change things? Good question.
So do you save your seeds, or do you normally save seeds?
I've done it. What did I plant that was from saved seeds? I can't remember now what I've used saved seeds for.
Mhm.
Uh, I think I just did like a hybrid, so that wasn't even a good saved seed because it wouldn't
To
have come
do.
true to type. So
Mhm.
I don't think I've done it. Oh, I don't because I sell my seeds. my seedlings, because I do
Mm-hmm.
seedling sales. I don't save my seeds because I want the product to be what I advertise it
To
as.
be what you said.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I have not done it, but
When I
something
save
to.
seeds, though, I'm almost just guessing to myself, whatever it is gonna be a hybrid of whatever is growing around. So that's probably one reason why I purchase so many seeds, because of my space is so small and confined. There's no way that I could separate with the distance that I would need. And otherwise I would be reduced to growing only one variety of something. And y'all, I can't, oh my, that give me hives. Like I have to do at least 2, 3, 4, different varieties of, a particular plant. And in
Mhm.
that case, if I did save seeds, which I still have, I know that when I sow those seeds, it's not going to be true to type. It's not going to be true to either type. It probably won't even be a regular hybrid. It'll
Mhm.
be something, that I hope is edible. And so far, the seeds that I've sown of the ones that I have saved, everything has been edible. I haven't died. Not that I know of, I haven't.
Right.
But what wonderful to come back, as a gardener, if that was the case. No, I don't believe in reincarnation. So let me stop before somebody like take it the wrong way. I'm just joking. I had put in a question if anybody had participated in watermelon wars. And let's see, was this the response? Oh no, okay, this is a Chris talking about something else, planting leafy greens and zucchini. Oh, I was asking if anybody had had anybody either planned or planted a fall garden. And I know that's probably part of, I know you kind of been saying that, but that's part of today's topic. And a lot of the planning for the fall garden is actually in the springtime, and you're planting in the summertime
Mm.
for the fall garden. So when you say I want a fall garden, most often you're talking about a fall harvest. And so
Mhm.
in order to get the fall harvest, you have to sow those seeds or transplant those seedlings in the summer so they can be ready in the fall. If you sow seeds in the fall, now you're looking at a winter garden.
Right.
Unless miraculously you have like those Jack and the Beanstalk beans, where as soon as you plant them, like they just grow up to maturity in like a very short period of time. So
Right.
I think that's where, some gardeners, especially new gardeners, they kind of go, um, or maybe get a little frustrated because you're thinking, okay, fall garden, I'm going to plant, I'm going to sow these seeds or even transplant these seedlings in September, and then I'm going to be looking right before my frost to have a harvest, where it doesn't work like that, because it goes by the amount of daylight, the sun is lower in the sky, even the UV, the watering, the weather, the pests, like all of that stuff is different. And so, long story short, in order for you to have a fall garden with a fall harvest, you have to plant in the summer.
Right.
And we are in most areas, except for mine, but in most areas, you're past the time where you should have already, especially if you're sowing seeds, you're already past the time where you should have sown those seeds. Now, if there's some seedlings and stuff at the store, like on sale, they're a healthy size and they look well, you may be able to still go ahead and plant those in your garden and get something for the fall.
Mhm.
But the fall garden starts in the late spring and early summer, at least the brainstorming of it, but the planting is definitely in the summer.
Mhm. I agree. I agree. Um, but let's say, like Chris pointed out, he's going to do a cold frame, basically, or a cold box. So
Mhm.
you can stretch out some things to become like now you have a spring garden, because now you're harvesting it in the spring.
Mhm.
So you start it off now, as close to now as possible. Like lettuce, your brassicas, your spinach, um, like your radishes, you could eat pretty much in a month. So radish is one of those quick turnaround ones.
Mhm.
I mean, they're not going to be huge, but you can plant a lot of radish and, have your heart's contentment with that.
That's right.
So there are some things you can, like if you're in the colder area. When you're in the warm area, then forget it. The sky's the limit with what,
It's
I
still, I
mean,
know,
the
yeah,
sun,
because
I know.
in my area, it is still too warm. Like if I sowed spinach seeds or
Mhm.
sowed lettuce seeds right now, it's too hot. I have to wait until closer to the end of September,
Mhm.
maybe the third week of September to
Yeah.
sow those seeds because it's still in the 80s here. It's way too hot. Now, your fall crop, your fall plants, they still need sunlight. They still
Yeah.
need warmth. But that's why you sow those seeds in the summer so they get that initial warmth, to germinate and develop strong roots and everything. So as they go into the cooler temperatures, they're already established and they can focus on growing and not just beginning to establish themselves when the weather is getting cooler.
Right.
So, but I want to sow a couple of varieties, of course, not just one, but I want to do some spinach, some leafy greens, and then I
Mhm.
also want to do some root vegetables.
Right.
Now root vegetables, if I'm doing seeds for root vegetables, those I feel like I could do now. I could
Mhm.
sow those seeds now. And
Right.
it's mainly because the growth is underground where it would be a little bit cooler than above ground. Whereas if I'm doing the leafy greens and stuff, they're exposed to the direct heat, the sunlight and everything. And that's why they would go like from seed to seedling to boatling and
Right.
then to boat. I wouldn't have any growth at all. But if I waited, like I said, the third or the fourth week of September, um, that'll be more the time that I would plant. And surprisingly, in my area, it'll begin to cool down like the second half of September. And when I say cool down, I mean going from the 80s to the 70s. And then in October, it warms up.
Mm.
And we can be in the 80s in October.
Oh, okay.
And then it'll cool back
Yeah.
down again, and lows here um across the winter are normally in the low 50s,
Mhm.
um mid 40s to low 50s, and then we'll have a couple nights where it'll be in the low 40s.
Mhm.
Maybe one or two nights, well, let's just say a week's worth, so maybe 7 total days of the whole winter season
Yeah.
where the low at like 1 o'clock in the morning, it'll be 37 or 38.
Mhm.
But by the time we wake up, it's,
Right.
48, 52, 53. So very mild winters here.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Oh, what was it? Yeah, I have a few packets of seeds that are just traveling with me every time I go outside. But have I put them in the ground? No. I'm just like, there's this mental block for me to just plant it already. I don't know. It hits me around this time of year where I just like shut down almost. But I
Well, let,
also,
let me ask you this then, because of course I want to talk about it. So I'm going to lead you into it. Have you purchased any new seeds? Or either do you have seeds that you purchased, like last year or earlier this year, like specifically for this fall? Or have you purchased seeds now that you plan on using like into the spring and next year? Because the companies, the sales are on.
right.
The sales are on. I literally just made another purchase like right before this live stream. I know, y'all. I know. I know. I know.
I I think in beginning of August is when I hit some of the sales because that's when they were also starting to advertise them. So I
Hmm.
have my collection bolstered with some more seeds. But right now I'm looking more into like the shrubs and the trees, the fruit trees. I am trying to
Hmm.
make that collection like you are
Hmm.
of really gathering more fruit and nuts and berries. That's my concern. Or even I've actually started wanting to increase my inventory on like perennial flowers, like cut flower type things.
Yeah.
Um, lilies come to mind, like the smaller lilies, not the super big ones. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for as far as what I'm trying to procure. Plus,
What
like my, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so let me ask you this. So for your trees and your shrubs and berry bushes and all that kind of stuff, do you purchase them locally or do you order them online and have them delivered? And what's your experience with that?
Yeah, it's been a mixed bag. I do delivery online because there's just not enough inventory around here to make it
Mm-hmm.
like fun. Like I'd have to drive quite a ways to find like a nice nursery with some inventory to it. So
Yeah.
I do go online. I've listened to some people who have recommended, certain places, and it's been, I guess, like with anything, you get fails and you get winners. So particularly the honeyberries that I had planted in the spring, like they started growing and then they died. So I don't know what happened there. So those are, I'm gonna have to look to see if there was even any warranty on those, but I'm gonna have to reorder those. Um, like I have a whole list of things I always add to of the type of plants I want to get. Like lilac bushes. I've always wanted lilac bushes. I don't know why all these
Mm.
years I still don't have any lilac bushes. But I just want some fragrant things around the yard. So when you're walking around, you're always like greeted by some scent,
Mm-hmm.
something nice.
My dad has jasmine that
Oh, that's
he's
nice.
grown along the side of the house. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I'm saying if you like jasmine and you can stand like lots of jasmine, it is beautiful. I can take it for maybe about 2 or 3 minutes because it's so much. I mean, it's a beautiful scent. It's everything,
Yeah.
but y'all, it's only so much
Mhm.
jasmine I can take. It smells wonderful, but it is like it's a lot of jasmine. I'm trying to get into flowers, Joy, but I'm not there yet. I am more into um the tree, fruit trees,
Mhm.
my blueberry bushes, and like I said, now dragon fruit. I put the question up for those of you in the chat. Have you ordered trees or bushes or shrubs? Have you ordered them online? Like from a place out of state, and like what was your experience on the delivery? Because Joe, I think you did a couple. I've seen at least one of your videos where you did order, and you had the product shipped, the tree or the shrub. Now, was it? I can't remember. Was it bare root
Yeah.
or
They
what? It was
usually,
bare root.
that's what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
order because I'm cheap.
Mm-hmm. But you know what though? But I've read that it is better, especially if you're going to have it shipped, to order a bare root
Oh, okay.
tree if you can, rather than one that's has seeds,
Oh,
has leaves, and
mhm.
a lot of branches and all that kind of stuff, because with the bare root it cuts down on the stress
Mhm.
to the tree or the shrub or
Yeah.
whatever. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Chris, I'm gonna need you to check out my video where I attempted to graft onto my Fuji apple tree. Let's just say I'm 0 of 8. I had four different varieties of scions, two each of four different varieties. So I put 8 grafts onto my Fuji apple tree, and zero of them took. I think it had more to do with the grafting tool that I used. I should have just done it by hand without using a grafting tool. So this year coming around, early next year, I'm gonna try again on the apple tree. And I'm gonna graft um, like a couple, maybe 2, 3, 4. I don't know. It depends on, excuse me, how many scions are become available to me. But I'm gonna try again. But the Fuji tree itself is still healthy. There's apples. I have so many apples on one branch that it actually snapped the branch. So my grafting failures have not adversely affected the tree. And this is an
Mhm.
apple tree that's in the ground. I only have 3 fruit trees in the ground. All of my other fruit trees, blueberry bushes, dragon fruit, bananas, everything else are in containers. I'm not sure if I would I don't know if I would graft onto my container tree. Maybe after they get a bit more robust and develop and mature. But as they are now, I'm not sure if I would graft onto my container tree. But I have an apple tree in the ground, a cherry tree in the ground, and a lemon tree in the ground. And I would definitely graft on those. They are very mature and established. And if I mess up, I don't think it's gonna kill the tree.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Most of my trees are still immature, like less than 5 years old. So I don't
Hmm.
feel confident that. Well, I haven't even tasted the fruit yet. So before I start grafting anything, I think I'm going to wait for some harvest from them first. Let's see. Moving down, I think we pretty much touched on everything here and there. But
Hmm.
um, just to go with the bullet points, I'm going to go with composting. If you're cleaning up, your garden for the summer ending, make sure you compost. Um, my suggestion: try the what's it called, John Sue bioreactor type composting. That's you kind of elevating it, so like a pallet is you're going to be your base because there's airflow from the bottom.
Hmm.
You're
Hmm.
gonna use some kind of fencing to make a round, a minimum 3 feet wide or a meter. And then, yeah, fill that up, layer your browns and greens, go to some other channel for that information.
Yes.
Oh, don't forget the tube in the middle. An airy, like I use PVC, I put holes all around it. You could also just take another piece of wire, like chicken wire, make a smaller round, like 6 inches, and put that in the middle of the
Hmm.
big tube and then fill it up. So that will give you your, and leave it out in the open where it's, catching rain or snow. And yeah, it's a slower process. You're not going to be turning it unless you really want to. But yeah, it's just you're just gonna fill it and it'll sink, and you fill it and sink. And when you're ready to harvest in a year, I guess, you just undo the big round, open it up. You could technically just sift down at the bottom and take out from the bottom. For the most part, the thing holds up pretty well. Like,
Hmm.
a little bit of it, not the whole thing. But otherwise, you're going to have to take out the stuff on top, take out the bottom, and then put the stuff back on in. But I like that composting method for the lighter stuff, like leaves. I do that mostly with leaves. For I have chickens, so I have chicken bedding, all the scraps from the yard, non-rhizomatic grasses that are just going to grow in your compost. You don't want that in there. But those,
Hmm.
yeah, I dump it into a corner, and then come springtime, I do a flip. Like early spring, I do a flip. Wait a month or so more, do another flip. Then usually I have good compost going into the summer, spaces. And I use it as a mulch. I don't necessarily plant in the compost, although you can use compost as potting soil. You might just have to add some amendments to like it's pretty airy, but I think
Hmm.
it might need extra fertility and stuff if you want to go that route. Um,
I've been my actually the what you described with the compost, that was actually my first compost bin. But I did it with a trash can. And
okay.
I think I might still have the video up. I don't know, it was a couple years back, but I took a regular 32 ounce, 32 gallon, the plastic trash can,
Mhm.
punch holes all in the side of it. I think I used my soldering iron or whatever, and I made holes all around, all around. I made holes, I believe, in the top of the lid also.
Mhm.
I used I think it was chicken wire that I used to make like the cylinder to put in the middle.
Oh, okay.
And I used wire to like adhere it to the bottom so that it
Mhm.
stayed, that it stayed straight.
Yeah.
And I put all of my materials around, food scraps. I don't have that many leaves except for off
Right.
my cherry tree, but I used browns and greens of what I had, and I had it lifted up off the ground on like just concrete blocks, cinder blocks,
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I had that and it did very well. It did
Oh,
very well for me. I did not turn it. And I just, kept adding, adding, adding. And I actually put a spigot on it. So the extra liquid in the fluid, the
Mhm.
liquid, I was able to use that as liquid compost, of course, diluted. I never used it full strength, but
Right.
I was able to use the liquid. So I had I didn't have a lot of holes like at the bottom, maybe like one or two small ones, just kind of like to vent, but
Mhm.
the liquid could still fill up. I think the lowest hole I had was maybe 2 inches off the bottom because I
Okay.
needed space to put the spigot,
Yeah.
to get the liquid. But that worked well for me. Then I took um a composting class. I'm a certified master composter,
Mhm.
and they had the kind of like it's not a complete rectangle, kind of like a trapezoid kind of shape thing. Anyway, those, I think it's called Soil Saver, those compost bins.
Okay.
And then I use those to replace some other ones. Well, the original ones that I had, I used that because it just was a larger space, and I could
Mm.
put the amount in of like two trash cans I could put in that one container, and
Right.
it helped me to save space. Now my compost bin is full. It's like full to the top. And like you said, you definitely can use that, for soil. But what I have found with compost is that I put that in the top couple inches.
Mhm.
I used to mix it in all the way, but I don't do that anymore. I put it
Yeah.
on the top, and then I let it, when I water the garden, I let
Right.
it water down over time. That seems to work better with, well, shoot, with almost everything. Mixing the compost into the soil, to me, compacts it quicker,
Oh.
and it can potentially, especially if you overwater, it can
Oh.
make it sludgy
Right.
um over a year's season. If
Mhm.
you don't allow the soil to dry out, and if you watering because the top looks dry, okay, water, 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 but the bottom still has water and you
Yeah.
can't see it, obviously. So you water, water, water. And I just found that with the compost mixed completely into the soil, it just became more sludgy and more compact. I can
Mm.
see that a lot in my containers and my buckets because I do a lot of container, gardening.
Yeah.
Less in my raised beds, but I really could see it in the bucket. But when I did, soiled, I started adding sand also, um, to my mix, and perlite, and things to kind of like lighten up the soil, the peat moss. I know that there's this thing between peat moss and cocoa coir. I have both, but I use peat moss the most because it has that slight acidity to it,
Mhm.
and that's what I need for my garden. But if you don't need that, or if you prefer, or for whatever reason, cocoa coir, use the cocoa coir. But yeah, putting the compost on the top and just letting it slowly water and trickle down into the soil, to me, has worked better than mixing it in the whole mix and then filling up my containers.
Right. I've only mixed it in my most compacted area in ground, like where I put my corn. So
Mhm.
because I had to aerate that space anyway, I used the compost to like fill in where the tines had put holes in the ground. So that not I'm not like, going at it with like a tiller, but
Mhm.
that's like one way where I really try to get it into the ground so that the roots aren't having to work their way so much into the hard clay. But otherwise I don't really touch it other than that. So I haven't noticed like now that I'm gonna be prepping the soil for next year, I'm gonna see how that's doing. But yeah, for the most part, I also just incorporate it on top, top dressing or filling up, like lost like in the raised beds, you'd get a bit of sinkage over time, or even the garden,
Mhm.
the green stalks, they sink quite a bit. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just keep
yeah.
topping those up, topping those up.
I'm still trying to find a soil mix that I can put in my green stalk that will last a season without so much shrinkage.
Mhm.
So, um, like store bought potting mix, or yeah, potting
Yeah.
mix. The lightest things, they are light, and I do appreciate that, especially when I'm picking up those things and
Right.
stacking them one on top the other. But they still sink quite a bit. I would say at
Mhm.
least a fourth to a third if I fill them all the way up to the edge.
Yeah.
By the end of the season, by harvest time, I'm, a fourth to a third
Hmm.
compaction rate, down.
Definitely.
So I'm trying to find something that'll do lighter. I've kind of experimented with my own soil mixes, just trying different percentages of light ingredients, because you definitely want to keep it light. You don't want that
Yeah.
soil to be heavy inside a green stalk, because it's gonna block the little holes that they have for the water to trickle all the
Right.
way down to the bottom. You can suffocate the roots, and you're
Mhm.
already working in a smaller area. So the roots only have so far to go, and then there's nowhere else to go. But yeah, I'm experimenting with just different formulas myself. And I think at the end of the day, it's gonna come to a point where I'm going to be making all of my own soil mixes, and I'm not gonna be buying the bag soil from the store. The bag soil from the store has its place because it's convenient, it's already made. You pretty much just open a bag and dump it in. Even though I don't do that anymore, I always sift my
Mhm.
soil, because even though it says blah 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 soil or blah 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 light mix, I always find things in the soil that I don't want. So
Right.
I end up having to sift it. Well, when I make my own, it's probably still gonna be sifted. But I think I'm just getting to a point in my gardening life where products at the store are not meeting my needs. So I'm finding more and more that I'm having to DIY it. I'm having to make my own thing, but it's just because I'm looking for what fits my yard, my climate, my plants, my seeds, my weather. And the store products worked for a time, but as I grow and mature more in my garden knowledge, experience, and wisdom, I'm finding that I need to do some stuff myself.
Mhm.
But starting out with store-bought products, especially if you are either a new gardener, or even if you're an experienced gardener, but you're moving into something new, growing something for the first time that you haven't tried before, I think it's still a good idea. Start with the store-bought products, see how they work. Read the ingredients, just like we read the ingredients for the food we eat, for our hair products, skincare, all of that. Read the ingredients, see what the store-bought products are made of. And then if you're willing to venture out on your own, at least you know where to start. Hey,
Right.
I need some peat moss, I need some perlite, I need some chicken manure if you have it. If you have chickens, then you straight. But
Right.
I think it's still a good idea to start with store bought, and then you can work your way into, your own, doing your own thing.
And then it becomes its own obsession, actually, because
Yeah.
you making your own soil is kind of fun
Yeah,
like
it is.
a
It
freaking
is.
scientist way.
It is. I just did that for the dragon fruit that I have. So I have 8 varieties of dragon fruit cuttings. I have one dragon fruit stand, and I'm putting it's a four-sided stand. So I'm putting 4 varieties in each stand. I only have one. I'm having another one made. I should have that by next weekend. But I made my own soil. I did a lot of research. Um, and I've come up with my own soil mix that I'm experimenting. If the dragon fruit start growing, new appendages, and if they grow, then I know, hey, they like this soil mix.
Mhm.
If they start turning yellow and shrinking up and stuff, I'm like, okay, well, that didn't work. But I'm keeping track of the percentages, the ingredients, all of that kind of stuff that way. So I say, okay, next time, maybe instead of 50% of this is 30%, and
Right.
20% or whatever. But I like making my own things. I like doing stuff myself. I like DIY.
Yeah.
But if you're starting off, you don't want to get overwhelmed or frustrated. Start with the store products and then work your way from there.
Right.
And then G Mama says, I'm seeing my plants responding better with more minerals than soils. G Mama, you just hit on I'm see, that's a whole thing right there. I not put the cat back in the bag. I'm about to tell you, G Mama, that's exactly I have some what can I say? I have some certified experience on that statement that you just that's why I still have it up there. That's it. But don't tell the soil manufacturers and all of the pot and soil mix, the brands. That's what they don't tell us that. But this
Mhm.
right here, I'm gonna take it off the screen because I don't want to leave it up there, but minerals more than salt, y'all better ask somebody. And what
You
is
better do
soil?
a
What
video.
what is soil? You need
Right.
to know what
Yeah.
soil is, because it's not what's in the bag at the store. Let me go ahead and
Right.
take this off because you about to get me. I put the cat back in the bag. The cat is in the bag. Go ahead, Joy.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up because I know you got meetings to get to. But
Mhm.
as far as just let me go back to fall gardening. I planted
Yeah.
out finally. I started these in August. No, like late July. I started them to be planted in August so that maybe I can have something by October before freeze. Otherwise, they'll just overwinter and come back in the spring. But lettuce will definitely be up, in time, so we can still have some fall lettuce. What's out there? Some cabbage and broccoli. That will just sit dormant in the winter and then come back for us in the spring. Because I've had pathetic results with spring to fall brassicas.
Mhm.
I'm hoping fall to spring is a little bit better.
Yes.
And then what was the last thing I planted? I tried the whole zucchini thing. So there's a spindly couple of zucchinis out there, see if they make it. But with the cool that we have, I feel like ugh, this was not the good year to try it. But we'll see if anything comes up. I also put in a couple more basil to see if we get anything out of that, and peas. I'm trying out peas, but I'm slowly losing them to either slugs or voles because I see one less every day. So I'm like, ah, son
Mhm.
of a-"
Now,
So
do
I
you have
good job.
now when you say you put out so lettuce and the different things, do you have specific varieties that you find do better in the fall, like the summer going into the fall, than you do like the winter coming into the spring, or the spring coming into the summer, for your lettuce and for your cabbage? Because I've heard a lot of good things, cabbage specifically, about the red acre cabbage, which
Mhm.
is supposed to be very good for like that late summer into fall, even over winter, is better. But even if you're doing spring into summer, it's supposed to be a little bit more heat tolerant.
Okay.
So it's good for both sides, like summer going into the fall, and then spring coming into the summer. But do you have specific varieties of lettuce, of cabbage, of the things you've mentioned?
As far as the cabbage, I did plant a red acre because I had the seed for it. I didn't realize
Hmm.
it was good for this, but yay. And then the lettuce, I'm not sure if it's specific, but I have a package that's like says winter mix. So I just
Hmm.
assume they're supposed to be good, for the
Good for
colder
the.
months. And they're mostly the ones with like modeling. The color is not just green, but it's purpley and like
Hmm.
speckled with different colors to it. So I don't know if that particular variety is better for winter or not, but it did well in the summer. And I feel
Hmm.
like I've heard someone say if it does really well in the summer heat, then it will do well going into winter as well. Um, and you get the bonus of it's not going to get bitter as it's getting cooler versus when the summer you're going to have that it's trying to go to seed, so it's going to turn more bitter. So if you do a harvest cut and come again harvesting in the winter, you'll get a little longer of a window of harvesting.
Hmm.
Any other ones? No, I think the broccoli was just garden variety broccoli.
The Waltham, what is it? Waltham something, Waltham 80, or I know Waltham is a pretty popular
Yeah, there's different ones with Waltham on it.
broccoli. Yeah, I actually ordered yeah, so G Mama says planting different colors
Colors.
confuses the pest.
Yeah.
I've heard that too. I've heard
Mhm.
that as well. For this fall, and I'm still hoping to do something like lettuce, spinach. I would like to have a successful cabbage and broccoli. Um, I have had successful seedlings and even into the growth cabbage forming heads, broccoli, doing well, and then either something goes wrong, and then the end product is barely edible. I have to
Mhm.
cut out half of it, but I do, because
Okay.
hashtag waste not, want not. See, I believe in doing that. People that garden, and if the bottom of the tomato has one penny width of or like a penny circle of blossom end rot, and then you throw away the whole tomato. Not here. Not- that's called cut it off
Right.
and eat the rest. But with my cabbage and broccoli, I get to the certain point, and if I'm not paying attention, it's like the very next day after I should have
Right.
harvested it or pick, now either, the bugs got it, the something, I don't, whatever, but I would like to have a successful cabbage and broccoli. So,
Yeah.
this fall through the winter, coming out in the spring, for me, I think that's the best time, because even though we have mild weather, and the weather is more gradual than drastic,
Yeah.
except when we have those spots of heat waves, or if we get an unexpected rain. um the weather is fairly mild, but it's the pest that I have to keep up with. And because I try not to spray or chemicals or whatever, I really have to keep a closer eye on that. But that's my goal. I don't have any fall anything planted right now. But hopefully, I would say cabbage and broccoli. And I want to try my hand again at onions. Y'all, the aphids really got between my elephant garlic and my onions, the aphids, y'all. But I want to try for some onions also. So the onions, cabbage, and broccoli is what I'm really, hoping to get this fall, winter, probably into spring.
Right.
Mhm.
Very good. G Mama mentioned it, but overwintering. Nice, and I glossed over it in the beginning. But yes, I'm gonna try to
Mhm.
overwinter a few more of my peppers than ever, a few extra more, because I didn't feel like
Mhm.
they got enough season, and then with the cooling season we're having now, I don't feel like they've really reached their potential. So instead of growing them from seed again, which I will do anyway, but I would like to have a more mature plant going into the spring this coming year. So there might be more grow lights in my future. So run out of space to put plants.
Mhm.
um, what you call it? And if you are gonna propagate, we spoke about this too. Take cuttings, before winter sets in, so that you can root your plants, in a nice environment, and then come spring, they're ready to go, and have your own plants, so you didn't have to buy. I had dug up like a friend's yard. I didn't dig up the whole yard. I dug up a plant
Yes,
or
you
two,
did.
cut up a plant or two, and rooted those, and now hopefully they'll overwinter. And they should. They're supposed to be perennials, so so I'm looking forward to that. Um, what else? So yeah, that was my thing on overwintering. You don't overwinter
Mhm.
anything, so never mind. Um,
It just continues to grow. It just keeps going. I mean, because like I said, the maybe the well, we don't freeze. We don't
right.
ever get a freeze, but maybe 7 days out of the entire winter season, where at 1 o'clock in the morning it might get to 38 or 36 degrees. That's literally, it's that temperature for maybe 1 or 2 hours,
Yeah.
and then it immediately starts heating up again. And our best days for that would be sometime in January, because December is still 40s and 50s, and by February is getting, 40s and 50s and even the 60s. So the best time that we have for any cold weather, which is what I need for my cherry trees and for my apple
Okay.
trees. So I do need, chill hours for
Hours, right.
those trees. We barely we barely get them. But it is good because I'm able to extend my, well, I mean, I have 365 growing period, but some things do need cool weather, some things do need warm weather. And while I don't overwinter some stuff that I plant in the fall, like the cabbage and the broccoli and all that kind of stuff, if they don't look like they're ready in, the 45 days or the 60 days or whatever, they're gonna stay in the ground, well, in a container. I'm gonna make sure I cover them to protect them from the pest, and I'll check them out again in like February. We'll see
Right.
how they look.
Speaking of cold winter, of cold chill hours, the last thing I want to touch on is your well, last thing I was okay, do a seed audit. That's what I want to say. Take advantage of your sales, take your seed audit so you
Mhm,
can figure out what you need for the next year. Garlic. Garlic is the main plant that we plant in the fall. Even
mhm.
Healy needs to do
Yeah,
that so that she can have her
yeah.
chill hours because garlic needs a little bit of chill hours. Now, most people can cheat and just use the refrigerator and put it there for a month, I guess, and then, put it in the ground. Like for me, I do mine end of October, early November. I'm going to push it earlier this year because it just happens to coincide with like this period in July. And I feel like the plant is always like cracking too early or something. I don't know what the term is
Mm,
yet, but I'm going to do it a little earlier. I don't mind like if you get growth, a little bit of growth in the before the freeze comes, it's okay. The plant can get through that. I've had
mhm,
that happen to me, and the plant was just fine. Um, but yeah, garlic is one of those like staples in most kitchens, and it's super pretty hands off. Like I do have to rotate mine though because I've been getting allium leaf miner, which is a fly that comes around, lays its little worm, and then the worm goes in and makes holes in your plants. It doesn't make them inedible. It just doesn't look as pretty or it doesn't grow as big because it's nutrients are being taken out of it. But I am in the process. I've prepped my bed to where I'm going to be rotating it to for this coming planting.
mhm.
And yeah, and I've ordered the seeds already because they've already been seeds available. And my gardener just had his up. Um,
Yeah.
but there is I wanted to order elephant garlic, like actual elephant garlic from someone. I hope I haven't missed it, but that was like the last thing I was going to order as far as like
Mhm.
planting anything soon. Um,
So when are you gonna actually plant them?
October. So I have
October?
another
Yeah.
month. Yeah. Yeah, I've
See,
got,
and I'm in November is
yeah,
when I normally do mine a little bit later. Yeah,
yeah.
in November. But I'm hoping to get elephant garlic, regular garlic.
Mhm.
And I also want to sow some onion seeds. And I normally, besides, I if push come to shove, I'll go and get organic garlic or organic elephant garlic from my health food grocery
Mm,
store,
yeah.
or whatever. But the onions though, I have the seeds, and the seeds is actually something that I could start toward the end of this month. It's still too warm like right now. Um, but just in a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I can start that, and then hopefully they will be germinated and ready to put in a more permanent spot. I was thinking about a grow bag. Have you ever
Mm.
grown onions or garlic in a grow bag?
No. I'm going to say yes because that's where they are now. But I put them in late, so they stayed ping pong size. But yeah, they
Mhm.
can grow in grow bags for sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. Of course, I'm trying to create another growing space in my yard where there's literally no growing space, but I'm trying to see how I can make another growing space because I want to have a space just for one or two grow bags, and I want to experiment different things in the grow bags. Like I've read and heard that potatoes are pretty good to
Yeah,
grow in grow bags. You know, so I want to try that, but I need to work with space. But yes, I'm ready
Yeah,
to call it.
G Mama mentioned growing out the box. That's exactly who I'm going to be ordering my elephant garlic
Mm-hmm.
from. But yeah, pick up your sales if you need raised garden beds, if you need soil, if you need seeds. Look
Mm-hmm.
into that. Prepare for the fall season, so spring season now.
Yeah.
Don't wait for the catalogs. You don't need catalogs. Everything's online. All right. We got our info on the bottom there.
Yep, have our
And
info scrolling down. Thank you so much for everyone who was here with us today for the live stream, whether you were here for, you know, a minute or you stayed the whole hour plus. We definitely appreciate you. Please follow us on our social medias. I'm only on YouTube. That's it. That y'all the Pinterest, just don't. I haven't been there in years, so just don't. I'm only on YouTube. I have one YouTube channel. You can find me at Healy Means. And then Joy has two YouTube channels and she's on a couple other socials. So Joy, tell us about that.
I've got my Joy Unhinged here on YouTube. That's been like a more of a home what is it? What is it? What do I do? Called decluttering.
Everything, a little bit of everything.
It's been like a decluttering channel where you just watch me ramble on while I clean up my house. And then on Rumble is basically a mirror image of YouTube in case, you know, I get not demonetized. If in case I lose my data on YouTube, I have it back up there on Rumble. I have Instagram where I take pictures when I remember to. And yeah, I think that's it. All right. Thanks to everybody. If you're on the replay, thank you. Please comment and subscribe to myself or at Healy Means. We will try to get you more live content, but can't make any promises. This is a season of transition, so we're trying to figure out where we're at for the next few months.
Yeah, we'll try. But normally it is 2 weeks. So let's see, 2 weeks from now is what, the 22nd, if I'm just quick math. So and that'll be on my channel, but I promise whether I can do the live stream or not, I will do a community post. Y'all please check out my community post. I'm having some problems with the YouTube shorts. Ever since I did a live stream
Yeah, that
last
was weird.
Friday. Yeah, I did a live stream last Friday. So the live stream itself is only like 12 minutes, but the live stream time frame is a lot more than that. Well, my phone overheated and the phone shut off, but YouTube kept the live stream going. And when my phone cooled down enough for me to turn it back on, and I saw the live stream was still going, I tried to end the live stream and I couldn't end the live stream. I could, y'all. I turned off my phone, I restarted it and everything, but YouTube kept the live stream going. So I apologize for that, but that was me. I was going into my first yoga class. Y'all, it was awesome. When I finished, I was so tired. I was tired for like the rest of the day. But that'll be on Fridays. So, but hit me back on my channel where I talk more about my health and wellness journey, also gardening and all kind of other stuff. But yeah, that's what happened with that. So, but check the community post, please, because I might as well do a blog. I might as well have a blog with the, you know, because it's a novel on my community post. But check those out though. But I appreciate that. Thanks.
All right. I will talk to y'all soon. So we'll harvest more. Bye.
Bye.